Hi, this is David McCann for WebTNG. In this video, I'm taking a look at ACPT. ACPT stands for Advanced Custom Post Types. It's a newish plugin and it's in its early stages. There's a free version that's in the WordPress plugin directory, and a pro version is available now on AppSumo. The idea with ACPT is it wants to be your one-stop shop for working with custom post types and custom fields. The developer states that he wants it to be an all-in-one solution so that users don't need to add more plugins. Since ACPT is on AppSumo, people have been asking about it. I took a first look at ACPT back in August. I wasn't able to make templates with it. Since then, there have been a lot of fixes and improvements. So while I think it's still in its early stages, it's come a long way, and I decided to go ahead and make a video. If you like the video, please subscribe. It helps to spread the word about the channel. Here's the free version, ACPT Lite, in the WordPress plugin directory. You can see it's still new and it has limited features. So I'm going to look at the pro version. This is the pro version, which is currently available on AppSumo. It starts at $29, and that is for one website. If you buy 2 codes, then you get a license for 5 websites, and 3 codes, then unlimited agency plan. This is the ACPT website where they have a list of all the features, and they have a documentation area and a roadmap. There are a fair number of articles in the documentation area, though some of them are more detailed than others. So here I am on a test site. I've got the free Cadence theme. When you install and activate ACPT, then you get a menu item in the admin. This first page, the dashboard, is kind of where all the action is kind of a central spot, because as you add your custom post types and custom fields and taxonomies, then options show up here in this list. This is where you go to register a new custom post type, to register taxonomy, register custom fields, templates. APIs, we'll come back and look at that at the end. There's import and export options, a settings area, and a license area. The settings, you can pick your language, you can say how many records per page, you can add a Google Maps API key, you can set what happens when the plugin is removed, or when the custom post type or custom field definitions are removed. So let's start and let's create a custom post type. This should be familiar to people who've used custom post type UI, Metabox, Toolset, Jet Engine. A lot of the options are the same because they're based on what WordPress itself supports. So this post name, this is actually going to be the slug that appears in the URL. So that's something to keep in mind. Single label is book, the plural is books, and you can select an icon. It's nice that it gives you a list. And then what features the custom post type should have. Title, editor, thumbnail, excerpt. Author is good if you have multiple users on the site. Trackbacks. These are the default WordPress custom fields. Comments, revisions. I always like to have revisions turned on in case I need to go back. Page attributes, if your custom post type is going to act like pages. And post formats, if you want to add those post format features like it's a video or a chat or things like that. Okay, and this is a wizard-like process. The second step is to set all the labels, and these are the default labels that appear in WordPress, and usually you can leave them at their defaults. And then these are the more advanced options. So is it public? Is it publicly queryable? Show in the UI, show in the menu, show in nav menu, show in the admin bar, show in the REST API. You'll want this if you're using Gutenberg. If you want to customize the slug. The menu position, it'd be nice if it had a drop down for that as well. So you could pick where you wanted it. I think 30 puts it somewhere around here. And then what capability type you want. And these are like the permissions. So basically, if you select post, it'll use the same role permissions as posts do. Has archive. If you want a custom rewrite option or a custom query variable. So we click save, and we get a little countdown here, and it refreshes the page. So we see over here where it says front end UI, action required to create your archive template, your single template, and if you were going to create a related post template or a related custom post type template, then for that. Okay, but I'm going to start here first, and we're going to create the custom fields. So we'll add a meta box here, and you have to click in here to give it a title. We'll call this book fields. Okay, we'll add a field, and the first field will be called author website. Now we choose the field type. You see there are a lot of field types here. We have editor, number, text area, list, HTML, select multiple, toggle, date, time, URL, phone number, email address, address map, color, currency, weight, length, embed content, file, gallery, image, video, post relationship, and grouped field, a repeater. Okay, so we want it to be a URL. And then there's an option for conditional display. The second one we'll call author's photo. This will be an image. And the third field will be reviewer rating. And this will be a number. So let's give it the descriptions. Link to author website. Photo of the author. And 1 to 5 rating. Okay, and now we'll save that. Okay, and let's go back to our dashboard, and it changed from create to manage. So now let's go and create a taxonomy. This is similar to creating a custom post type in that you have a wizard. So it's going to be called genre. This is the slug. See, this time it tells you it's a slug. And the single is genre, and the plural is genres. Now we go to labels. And generally you can leave everything the same. But for some reason on the taxonomies, it picks up the slug as the menu name instead of the single label. So I'm just going to change that to uppercase there. Okay. And then leave everything else as the default and go to the next step. Here we are again with advanced settings. I think we can leave most things as they are as the default. For capabilities, manage terms, edit terms, delete terms, assign terms. If you want a special rewrite or query variable, or want to put in a default term. And then if you want to have a special sorting, like by the way items were entered. Okay, but I'm going to go with the defaults here and click save. And now if we go back to the dashboard, we see that there's this associate option, associate taxonomy to book. So we're going to turn that on. And if we go back now to our dashboard, we have now our book custom post type, and we have our genres. If we go and look at an empty record, we have the post title, the post content, the genre, the featured image, and 3 custom fields, the author website, author photo, and reviewer rating. Okay, so now I'm going to pause the video and I'll enter some book records. Okay, so I've entered 5 book records, 2 books by George R.R. Martin and 3 by John Grisham. If we look in the editor, we see here's our genre, here's our featured image, the title, the content, and then this is the URL link. This is a little different than you see with ACF because you have a place to enter the actual URL, but also the link text for the URL. And so this is a little tricky. You might make a mistake and switch these around. the first time I entered some data, I put author's website '(s), and there wasn't an error message and the values didn't save. So I'm just pointing that out, that you need to be a little careful to get those in the right place in the right order. All right, so now we've got our records. Let's go back to the dashboard, and now let's create a single template. The editor looks a little bit like a page builder because you see you have these elements here on the right: title, text, WYSIWYG editor, table, image, video, div, link, map, icon, row, column, options, WordPress fields, basic fields, theme fields like for sidebar and footer, breadcrumbs, and then our custom fields. Okay. Then you have a drop down here, and it's nice. It lets you pick your record that you want to use for your preview. And then it's got two fields in here to start you out. It's got the title and the content. So I'm going to save this. And I'm going to open another tab here. Okay, and I added a menu item for books. And you notice this would be where the archive would be, and it's not showing. So I think what we need to do is go to the permalinks and save the permalinks. Okay, now let's go. Okay, this is the default theme archive template because we haven't created one yet with ACPT. But here's the single. And this is the default here that it's got us for a starter. Notice it goes kind of all the width across the page. So let's go back here. This container you can't delete. Okay, that's going to be for your content here. But there is an option here to set the max width. I think for Cadence something like 1280 is a good width. And there's an option here for minimum height, for background color, and for padding options. And you can add a custom class, so that's nice if you want to do extra styling. So I'm going to save this. Let's take a look at that. Okay, we've got it constrained but not centered. Let's look at let's inspect. And I see here a class called ACPT-container. So let's copy that. Let's go into Customize, Additional CSS, and I'll add some CSS for the container. The class for the container, margin left auto, margin right auto. Let's publish and see what we have. Okay, that's pretty close. Okay, let's go back to the template editor. We want to add another element. It's not a big deal, but it's a little clunky. To get to the list of elements, you actually have to click in between here on the canvas. And there they are. Okay. So I've tried just adding columns by themselves. And what happens is they end up stacked, even though it's 1/4, 3/4. So I know from kind of testing this, I need to start with a row. And I'm dragging it in. You see that little green line? That's kind of your clue to where it's going to go. Now we can add our 1/4, 3/4. I'm putting the cursor over the plus sign. It says drag element here. Okay, and now for the 3/4 one, I add that. Okay, we have little drag handles here, so I want to put that in here. And it kind of doesn't go in there, but see it's above, the green line above there. So that's a little clunky here. And I know from testing that it's easier just to grab the fields and start fresh. Okay, so there's the post title. Here's the post content. See the line after? So that means it's going to come in underneath. And then here's the post thumbnail. Okay, and I'll set the size of that to be width of 180, height of 260. And you see there's options for an extra class or a border radius for margins. So I click Save. And let's just go and refresh here and see how it's looking. This is not too bad. This is probably not centered in the column, but maybe that's not a big deal. You can give a class to the image, so I guess we could center that. On the column itself, though, there is no option to add a class to that, and there's no option to add a class to the row. And I'm pointing this out because there are some limitations on styling that probably need to be addressed to match up with people's expectations of what they should be able to do. Okay, and now I want to have a link to the author's website here. If we go to add link, it's a text link. So we can change the text, we can put the URL in, we can set to open in a new tab, we can set display inline block, we can choose an icon, background color, font size, border radius, margins, padding, and classes. What we can't choose here is the custom field. I'm just going to delete this. Let's say we wanted to do an image under here for the author's photo. We can upload an image, set the width and everything, but we can't choose a custom field. So this is a little different than what we're used to with page builders. Okay, and so if we want to have the link to the author's website, we have to come down to the custom field to add that. So we can add it here underneath. There aren't many options except open in the same frame or different frame or a new tab. So it'd be nice if there were options to put a class on this so that we could style it as a button. But let's save this. Okay, and let's go to the front. And here's our link. Let's click it. And it works. It goes to the author website. Okay, so I'm going to close out of this. I guess my point here is that it is possible to make a single template, but it's going to be a little clunky. You know, you're going to need to go here and inspect the page and do some styling to get it to look the way you're kind of used to it looking. All right, but let's go now and let's create the archive template. Okay, and again, you know, we can pick which book we want to be our preview. And this is called leading post, and these are cloned. So this is the one you customize to be the way you want, and then it'll be repeated in the others. This is the container, which you can't delete, then the loop posts. So I'm going to click on this, and here you can set the gap size, the number of posts per row, elements per page, how you sort it, and add a class. Okay, so I'm going to go to 1. Then I'm going to do like we did before. So I'm going to add the row in, and we'll add the 1/4 and 3/4. Okay, I'm going to delete these and add in the post thumbnail. I'll set the size of that again. Okay, and then I'll add the post title, and I'll add the excerpt. Okay, and I guess for the container, let's go to the container and let's set the size of that also. Okay, let's go and look on the front end. Go back to the archive. So this looks pretty nice. Nothing wrong with the way it looks, but we don't have a link to go to the single record, so we need to add that. And if we go and look at the elements list we have here, there is one for post permalink. So let's drop that in here, and I wonder if we can move this down into there. Nope. Okay, so whoops, I accidentally deleted out one of the columns, and there's no going back. That's too bad. Let's see if I can add this 1/4 column back in. Yeah, okay. Now let's add the post permalink, and then inside of that let's add the thumbnail, and let's set the size. Alright, and then that should be a link then. And let's add the post permalink, I guess. Can we add that as a read more? So we have to put something inside of it. Let's see if we can move this into it. Nope. Okay, we'll delete that. And now we'll add post title in here. Looks like you can move it up by clicking there, but that doesn't work. So let's try this. Can we move this up? That might take me outside. Try dragging this one down. Nope. Okay, so I'll delete that. And let's add the excerpt back in. So let's save that and take a quick look. Okay, it's made this whole thing a link. So it's okay that that's a link and this is a link, but I'm surprised that this is a link. Oh, I guess I did get it inside of the post permalink. So let's remove that from there and get that underneath. All right, save that. And refresh. Okay, and that goes to the single. Good. Okay, let's add in now a custom field to the archive, which is something I like to do to test how flexible archive option is. So let's go down to the author's photo. Let's add that there. And let's set it to be pretty small. Let's say 50 pixels by 50 pixels. Okay, and save that. By the way, I noticed that if you scroll down, you see some preview here, but it doesn't really match quite what we'll see on the front end. Okay, and now let's refresh. And here's the author's photo. So that's working. Okay, now if we wanted to style and place this, one thing normally I might try doing is to put these items inside of a div. And here we have some text aligned options. So I wonder if we can drag these elements into the div. So I don't see that option. So let's recreate what we have. Let's add the post permalink. Then let's add the post thumbnail. Then let's set the size of the thumbnail. Okay, let's add the author photo underneath the post permalink. Can we do that easily? Can we move this up? Can we move this down? Not too easy. Let me, if we get rid of that. Okay, so let's try that. So I'm having a little hard time there. Guess it's going to go into the post permalink. Wonder if I collapse the menu, That would give me more room to move it there. Let's delete it and try it again. I think it should go like right there, but it won't. Oh, there we go. All right. So I got it in there. Now let's go to the div and it's align, text align. Let's see what we get. And refresh. Oops, we have a problem. Oh, yeah, I have to take this one off now, right? So let's delete that. Okay, and then this, I forgot to set the size. So let's save now. And refresh. And so now our size on this author's photo, oh, the unit didn't get saved. So that didn't align the contents. Maybe that's not surprising. But let's go here and we can add a class. We'll call this book left and save. Okay, now we'll go to the front end and go customize. And we'll go to additional CSS. And now I'll add some CSS to center the images. Okay, so display flex, direction column, justify center, align item center. So we publish, and here's an archive. I guess we could add a little spacing there or something, but you get the idea. So there's two more things I want to mention real quickly before we do some discussion. First is let's go back to the admin. There's something we haven't looked at yet, which is the APIs section. And this is a fairly complete API, application programmer interface for developers. And so this might be useful for people who want to perhaps use this with headless WordPress, something like that. So that's one programmer feature. And another programmer feature is if we go and look at the documentation for ACPT, there's a section on WP GraphQL, and it has integration with that. So GraphQL is a query language, and it's a replacement for the regular WP query. It's quick and efficient and allows you to select just the fields you need. So that's another programmer type feature that I wanted to mention. That's the overview, the walkthrough. Now for some discussion and conclusions. I first tested ACPT in August 2022. Now in October 2022, there have been a number of fixes and improvements. Freemius has been removed and a number of bugs have been addressed. If we think of there being two stages, the creation of the custom post type and then the creation of the templates for display, the first stage, the creation of the custom post type, custom taxonomy, and custom fields, went pretty smoothly. The templating is better than it was in August, but as I think you saw in the video, it's still clunky and needs more work in order to provide the kind of layout and styling options people are used to. I guess you could use ACPT in place of the custom post type UI plugin for creating the custom post type and custom taxonomy. Then you would use ACF for the custom fields, and then your builder of choice to create the templates. But it's probably not worth it just for that use. The developer has been serious in collecting user feedback and addressing issues. There's a public roadmap, and the developer said that Divi integration is almost ready, and Bricks integration is planned. He is also working on user interface and user experience improvements. Though it's still early days, the project is beginning to look promising. Once there is a good integration or the template builder is more robust, then ACPT may be a good option for an all-in-one solution. So that's my walkthrough and review of the ACPT plugin. There's a text version on the WebTNG website, along with other walkthroughs, reviews, and resources. Hope you found the video useful. Thank you for watching.